Welcome to another Erik Wait Whiskey Study. In March 2019, I am celebrating a Bourbon Month. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a special bottle from Wild Turkey. This is the Wild Turkey Longbranch. What makes it special is there's an additional name on the label, Matthew McConaughey. Now, Matthew McConaughey, he's this guy who, likes to stand around in puddles of water staring at Lincoln Continentals. And when he's not doing that, he likes to stare down longhorn bulls in the middle of the road. But he's also an American award-winning actor.
And the Oscar goes to Matthew McConaughey.
With roots both in Texas and Kentucky. So he's been sort of a creative director, an advisor, a consultant. He's a front man for Wild Turkey Distillery. And so he came up with an idea that would reflect his roots in the bourbon and got together and they did this particular bottle. Of course, the real question is this a really good bourbon? Is it a quality bourbon, or is it just a whiskey with a famous, pretty face on it? Well, that's what we want to find out. But before we get into this bourbon, here is a video of Matthew discussing this bourbon with the master distillers.
So I'm here at the home of Wild Turkey here in Kentucky, a state that I owe a lot to, actually. My mom and dad met at the University of Kentucky 68 years ago, about 20 minutes east of here. So, factually speaking, I would not be here if it wasn't for Kentucky. As you may know, I've been the creative director for Wild Turkey for the last 2 years, made by master distillers Jimmy and Eddie Russell. As a lover of bourbon, I secretly have always wanted to create my favorite bourbon. Eddie Russell and I have been putting together notes, ideas, taste tests, etc., to create just that bourbon that I'm talking about. It's called Longbranch. And what does Longbranch mean? Well, in its simplest form, it means the extension of a hand, an invitation, a welcome, when friends can become family. And that's exactly how the Russells have treated me since the day I met them. The Russells are proud enough to put their signature on it, and I'm damn proud to put my signature on it. Looking forward to introducing it to you. Looking forward to you getting to taste it. But before we do, let's go meet the men who between them have over 100 years prime bourbon experience running through their veins. Over 2 years ago, when we had this idea, we looked at the obvious. We said, I'm from Texas. You guys are from Kentucky. So how do we connect the two?
We had a lot of great ideas, but when we got to the mesquite, it's like, that's perfect. We can actually do something with that.
Mesquite is a tree. It's a wood from my home state of Texas. We grill with it because the mesquite charcoal gives off flavors that are earthy, they're rich, yet still smoky and sweet. It's not just a wood you use, it's a scent you remember. Another thing I know that I was looking for is a little more sweetness. I didn't know what it was. I remember there's a note in here that I sent you one night. I said, could you throw a hunk of sugar cane and a piece of cinnamon in there?
I wasn't going to do that because I wanted this to be a straight bourbon whiskey.
You can't call it bourbon anymore if you start adding things to it.
So we went to the 8-year-old bourbon and gave it more of that soft sweetness that you was looking for.
And refining the bourbon with those mesquite charcoals gave it some smoothness that we were searching for. A few tasters here. You can take us through a little bit of your knowledge in the making of this and what you were thinking and what stuff you were transferring to me.
You know what Jimmy has taught me over my 36 years, it's got to smell good to taste good. It's just like food.
And there's no doubt, though, especially with the finish, that this is a Wild Turkey brand.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always want to make sure it has that Wild Turkey signature or Jimmy will fire me and I need to work a little longer.
I call you at about 2 in the morning.
I think that was more about 4:30 in the morning when you called.
But I called you and I was like, bang, that's it. And I remember saying, I don't want anything else with it. I like it neat.
That's when I knew we had it, because when you said, I don't even want to put an ice cube in there. That just meant it was perfect the way it was.
Y'all been making bourbon your way for almost 100 years.
You know, we keep that DNA. We don't want to mess that up.
And so I'm a newcomer to this, but I said earlier, you know, I was wanting to make my favorite bourbon, and with y'all's help, we have. For the design of the bottle, let's not have a huge label on front that's concealing the color of the bourbon in the bottle. It's a small batch, aged in American oak, expertly crafted. That was really important to let the bourbon be the hero. We wouldn't be sitting here now if it wasn't something that you could sign your name to.
Exactly.
No other name that's been on a Wild Turkey label besides Jimmy and Eddie Russell. Until now.
Till now.
And that's pretty cool. Wild Turkey Longbranch. Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to the family.
Thanks for having me. Real bourbon, no apologies.
I really like this bottle. It's got sort of like an extra large flask feel to it, the shape of it. It's got a real large opening to it and a real large cork. Real nice bottle. Perhaps once you get it empty, turn it into an infinity bottle or something like that. I like the labeling on it, real easy to read, and it's got sort of an embossed labeling on it as well. But before we get into this bourbon, here are my notes on this whiskey. Longbranch is a collaboration of Wild Turkey's creative director Matthew McConaughey and master distiller Eddie Russell. This is the first time Wild Turkey has released a product that features a signature of someone other than master distillers Jimmy and Eddie Russell. The bourbon was inspired by McConaughey's Kentucky and Texas roots and is refined with Texas mesquite and oak charcoals, a unique method that deepens the flavor and complexity of the whiskey. It was first released in April 2018. It is bottled at 86 proof or 43% alcohol by volume. Although it is a non-age statement, press release states it contains 8-year-old bourbon. The mash bill is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. Alrighty, if we take a look at it, it is a medium intense golden amber. It's a lot more golden than some other bourbons on the nose. Medium intense aromas of applesauce with cinnamon. You get a little bit of vanilla pudding. The mesquite note comes in on the back. So it has some nice vanilla, but also if you ever, if you haven't been around a mesquite tree, perhaps you use mesquite charcoals or briquettes for barbecuing, you get a little bit of that. Light caramels, a little bit of honey. It smells very sweet on the nose. All right, on the palate. This is a very easy drinking bourbon. There's no bite. It's super silky. It glides across the palate. I get nice light caramels up front. I get that applesauce. This is probably a bourbon with more apple notes than I've ever had with any other bourbon. Get vanillas, light caramels. I get that vanilla pudding, that sort of vanilla wafer, vanilla banana pudding on the back end. And just a little bit of that mesquite character. There's another element to it. Sort of reminds me a little bit of some Jack Daniel bourbon, some of the higher end of their whiskeys, not the old number 7. And I think that's probably coming from the process they use for filtering that, using the mesquite on that. That's sort of Lincoln County type process to it. This is a super easy, approachable bourbon. If you're used to drinking cask strength all the time, maybe this won't be for you. Maybe this is too light. Maybe this is too easy. Maybe this is too much of a sipper. It doesn't have that big sort of punch of flavor. It is light, it's delicate, it's one that doesn't need anything to, although I've tried this on ice and I like cooling the temperature of it. I liked it that way, but it doesn't need anything else added to it. It's good to go as it is. So I think either someone's new to bourbons, someone wants a lighter bourbon, they're not looking for something that's super heavy or high in alcohol, something that's silky, that just feels really, really nice across the palate. I think this is going to be for them. What would I give this as a score? I'm going to give this a solid 88 points. I am someone who likes the bigger cask strength bourbons. I like the big punch, the big wow factor of a bourbon, but maybe not at all times. I think this has a particular time and place for sipping, and I'm drinking it now. I'm actually fairly certain this bottle will probably disappear faster than some of my bigger bourbons because I'm not always in the mood for something super big and bold. Something just a little bit, something a little bit lighter and easygoing. I think it has that play to it. All right. If you subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, if you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking channels. Until next time, cheers. Hey, if you like my review, be sure to check out these other whiskey videos.